I'm doing a walkthrough of the place. I apologize for the sniffles. The air quality's been awful. In the fall, I tore out all the weeds in this bed and put down the weed stop and put down this brown rubber mulch. This one flower, daffodil maybe, has bulbs. It seems to be very aggressive, pushes right through the weed stop. I had planned on using Roundup on it in the spring. Some twigs from when I was trying to hurry and trim this tree before we got out of here, but I will get the broom here in a minute and sweep that up. That's my garden hose. I'll probably just coil that up and leave it. I was planning on doing Roundup on this rock bed too, because the grass has spread past the rock line into the rocks. That's my sprinkler. I'll throw it away here in a minute. Beautiful succulents. I love those things. That shitty chain link fence looks like the same as it did when we moved in, except that I added this little block here for the dogs. I'll pull that out real quick. This has been loose since we moved in. I've wedged it in there so that it stays in place at least. I don't think I put any screws or nails in it. I think I just wedged it. But you can see it's up there next to the 2x6 on the awning, where these are a couple of inches away. I'm about to toss all of this stuff in the trailer. Sweep. Take batteries to recycling. I'll take down this block and tackle here in a minute. Everything in here was in here when I moved in. There's the swamp cooler cover, which I believe we never used because it looks grody. And we just put the pillow thing in the vent. Excuse the cough. It's probably not COVID. Gonna sweep this up here in a minute, toss these last couple things in the trailer. A couple more cardboard boxes to pack the last of this stuff in. A little bit more in the shed to clean out, but it's mostly done. Just need to use that broom. This rose bush was looking quite nice until the snowstorms kind of pushed that over. This faucet leaks. A guy came out one time to fix it and he just tightened this, which helped for a while, but it still Had a slow drip, and then it just got worse again. It's probably a gasket. Or maybe the valve needs to be replaced. Again, it's done that since we moved in. These weeds, done my best to keep up with them. There used to be a huge patch of white top here, otherwise known as hoary cress, and that is an invasive species, a noxious weed in Utah, and so I've done my best to slow its spread, at least. I've tried pulling, I've tried spraying. This is all hoary cress right here. All these dead twig things. This poor little peach tree has just been a dead twig since we moved in. This peach tree produces peaches. Could stand to be trimmed. I don't know much about trimming fruit trees. This corner here, I trimmed the bottom of the branches because there was a raccoon hiding out here that almost killed my dog. So I trimmed those to get more visibility. A couple flower pots I need to throw away. Sprinklers. This sprinkler I replaced because my kid hit it with a lawnmower. I apparently didn't fill the hole back in, but that can be done quickly. The board was there when I got here. The stuff on top of the shed was there when I got here. This sprinkler needs to be replaced, but I found it after we were switching property managers and I was waiting for a contract, log in to pay my rent, a way to report problems. Bird feeder, I'll take that down in a second. Solar powered lights, I'll clip those zip ties. We apparently blocked that with a piece of pipe. Last few things to put in the trailer. This carpet was like this when we moved in. It was pretty dangerous. Looks like it still is dangerous. I got a hammer and bent over all of the nails that I stepped in on, but it looks like there's more. This wall has looked like this since we moved in, though I did patch a couple of little chips in the paint. Patch some chips in the paint here. You can probably see where it's a slightly different color. but it is the color, the paints that were left here to match the existing walls. There's a little bit of a hole there in the door. I was planning on seeing if I could find a replacement door at Restore before we moved out, but I've not had the time to do that because all of my help keeps falling through because of COVID and life. The paint just started to bubble and peel because of the heat. Because it's right there next to the burner that I use most often, of course. There's the keys. This key I believe is to the shed in the carport. I've never used it, but I do believe it works. It does work. This little banister thing is pretty much impossible to keep the paint from getting chipped. Gets bumped a lot. If it was my house, I'd put a wood cap on it. We'll vacuum. I did fix the paint as much as I could on here. I will maybe hit it with another coat here in a second. Couple last things to grab from the bathroom. This little bathroom closet has everything to have a door, but it does not have one, and it looks very bad. I fixed the laundry chute. That was broken. This was leaking, and when they were done, they didn't recalc this. I think I have some extra caulk. I can probably do that in just a minute. This little hole. I'm not sure if we have this color to match to paint it. It needs to be sanded a little bit. The closet. I believe these are the curtains that were here when we got here. The wiring in this house is just clear, completely dangerous. The plugs are loose. I had to use these to keep things from falling out of the sockets and keep from starting a fire. We're putting the old doorknobs back on in just a second. We put our own doorknobs on just because they were fun, the electronic locks. Grabbing a couple last things from here. And then we'll sweep. No damages that I'm aware of. No damages here. A little bit more garbage to grab, a couple last things to grab. We're getting out just as fast as possible. Looks like this screen has been stabbed. So it looks like we will replace that. That was like that when we got here. Pretty obvious, it's pretty old, dirty paint and plaster. These are just in a terrible place. I plan to replace these cheap plastic ones with wooden ones so they would match the floor still but be sturdier. But even when I put a couch right here, these still got stepped on. Last little bit of garbage and clothes here. Fireplace that we never actually lit a fire in because I'm afraid of catching the house on fire. You can see here I tried to keep plugs in the wall with Velcro. That did not work very well. Last bit of garbage in here to get. My washer and dryer. When I moved into the place, I know that there was a washer. I believe there was a dryer. But if I remember right, the dryer didn't work and we had it hauled off. And we brought in our own dryer. But the washing machine that was here would trip the GFCI every time it ran. Usually when it was switching to the spin cycle. So I figured it was just a bad washing machine with a bad ground. But then just months after putting in my own washing machine, it started doing the same thing. So I think that there's something seriously wrong with the wiring in this house that is frying washing machines and dryers. Grabbing the last little bit in here. Looks like more than it is. It's scattered and mostly garbage. This was my son's room, the 17-year-old, and so I have to pack up his stuff and Matt's stuff because Matt can't do a lot with his physical conditions. Let's see, I don't think I did the downstairs bathroom. Esther did a wonderful job of cleaning this. toilet paper holder was just anchored into drywall. It really didn't stand a chance. I was planning on fixing that, but too much other stuff to do. I think everything in here was here when we moved in, except that and that. And I believe everything else was here when we got here. And this was here when we got here. Oops. And this vacuum was here when we got here. It's not a very good one. That's probably why it got left here. And I believe that's everything, and I will record an update once we've finished this.